Mamie belle, la moustache et la capucha. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Sito patamilo, milata katiki takatiki. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Sito patamilo, milata katiki punetika. Mamie belle, la moustache et la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today is my final day of this before tomorrow where I do my not mock draft. So today's video is about the 7 guys that are scheme dependent, and that if these guys go to the incorrect scheme, or even if they go to the incorrect coaching, these guys could fail in the NFL. So again, like I said, these are guys that are very scheme dependent. And I know some people might sit up here and be mad for some of the guys that I have on this list. I hope no family members are watching, because I'm not saying that your people can't succeed. It's just that these guys are very scheme dependent to succeed. So we're going to start from, I've chose 7 guys. Instead of 5, I chose 7. So here we are. We're going to start from number 7. Mekhi Garner, the cornerback out of LSU. He's a tall cornerback. He's a tall cornerback that has very strong hands and stuff. Like he uses his hands very well, but he plays in a trail technique. And what that is that he tends to play behind, or he tries to shadow the receiver. The problem he's going to have is if he faces a really fast receiver, because he plays the trail technique, but he's not quite as fast as you want him to be, especially playing cornerback. So for Mekhi, he's going to have to go to a place where they have really good safety help, and they have really good safety play, because if not, he's going to be in situations where the faster receivers are going to burn him, or the receivers that are crafty in the sense of sometimes he uses the trail technique and then tries to get receivers to the sideline. But if he faces a wide receiver that cuts and goes inside and does a move to the inside and goes upfield, he'll mess around and end up getting lost. So again, Mekhi Garner, the cornerback out of LSU, he's a scheme dependent guy. Number 6 is Brandon Joseph, the safety out of Notre Dame. He takes very bad angles when he goes in the tackle. He's not really bad in coverage, but he's not really good in coverage either. Like, he's a guy that when you see him, he makes some plays, but then there are plays that you're like, oh man, like only if you were a little bit faster, or only if you noticed this a little bit earlier. He's a guy that for me, I think that he might in the NFL might have to play a Buffalo nickel style of thing, a style of position, because he can tackle. The problem is that if he has to make a tackle at an angle, or if he has to run something down, he's not going to make the tackle. There's a lot of times that he just takes very poor angling to the tackles, to get tackles. And to be honest, he's going to be a guy that when he gets to the NFL, he's going to have to be very focused, and he might have to pay very close to the line. Like I said, I think Buffalo nickel might be his thing, but even with that, he might have to play strong safety, and it might be a situation where he can play it, but he will have to be responsible for one half of the field or something like that. So like I said, Brandon Joseph, he's very scheme dependent. Number 5, and this is one that it was hard for me to do this, but I had to, because in reality, he falls in line with this list. Tank Bigsby, the running back out of Auburn, he's a great running back. He's absolutely great as a running back. He doesn't catch the ball that well, and he's a liability in pass protection. If he goes to any team where they expect the running back to be anything more like a receiver out of the backfield, a guy who threatens and things like that, they're going to have a very big problem with him, because again, he's great when he got the ball in his hand and he's running the ball and everything like that, but that's about it. That's about it. He does not catch the ball out of the backfield well at all. And like I said, he doesn't pass protect. So for him, he's going to have to go to a place where his skill is utilized for exactly what he does. Don't ask him to catch the ball out the backfield. Just don't ask him to do it at all. But again, he's very skilled. He can run the ball. He just can't catch. And like I said, again, he's a liability in pass protection. He doesn't do well when guys come in and they try to sit up there and come in and try to get him and everything like that. So again, he's a guy that is absolutely scheme dependent. Number 4 is a guy that I kind of like his game. It's identical to another guy, but he's like the poor man's version of that. And that guy is Malik Cunningham, the quarterback out of Louisville. He's Lamar Jackson without the arm strength. And the size. Malik Cunningham does a fantastic job when it comes to trying his best to get the ball out. He's very athletic. He can get out of trouble and things like that. He can scramble. He's not deficient when it comes to throwing the ball on when he's running around. The problem is that he doesn't have the strongest arm. Not only that, there are times where he feels pressure, and instead of keeping his eyes downfield, he'll sit up there and put his head down to run. So for him, he's going to have to go to a system where he's able to be a scrambling quarterback and a running quarterback, similar to something like what Jalen Hurts had to do in his first year. That's the way he's going to be utilized. Even when you think about Baltimore, he would be the perfect fit in Baltimore, again, under the I think it's Greg Knapp was the offensive coordinator, under his tutelage and his offense. But that would be the type of system he would work in. Again, Malik Cunningham, quarterback out of Louisville. Number 3 is a guy that's very high on a lot of boards. And it's kind of shocking because I'm not certain what type of player he really is. I'm not really certain if anybody knows what he's really going to be at the next level. And that guy is Drew Saunders, the linebacker edge out of Arkansas. There's been a lot of times where I've seen him completely whiff on tackles. Like, he doesn't tackle that well. And for him to be a linebacker / edge, the thing about the edge part is that sometimes he does do a good job getting around the corner and is able to basically use his speed to get around guys. But there are times where he's swallowed up on that edge. And it's just kind of shocking that, he's rated so high. And he has the most confusing tape you could ever see, because you do see him play linebacker. Maybe he could. I think that he would end up being more of a project thing. Like, you would have to focus him on linebacker. Like, he would have to be a linebacker. Not only that, I think there's still development that needs to happen with him if you're going to have him play like a Mike linebacker or the outside linebacker. Like I said, he whiffs on tackles. He really does whiff on tackles. And sometimes running backs will just basically run straight through his arms, almost like he didn't even try to grab at him. So again, I'm absolutely surprised that people have him so high, especially when it's confusing what position he plays. But again, for me, Drew Saunders, very scheme dependent. Number 2 is Ben Van Summerine, the linebacker out of Michigan State. He's not physical at all. Like, he's not physical, and he doesn't seem like he has the intensity or energy to play linebacker. Like, he's fast, which means that I think they should probably try to convert him to an end because he's actually tall, but he doesn't seem like he has the physicality or the intensity to play linebacker. And that to me worries me a lot. I can't, like, when in Michigan State, you see him sometimes making plays, but you don't see him dipping his head into the hole to really force a play. And there were a lot of times where you would see him on the field, and then for some odd reason they would just take him out of the game. So I'm not certain if it's a he doesn't want to play, but his motor is very low. And like I said again, I think that for him, he has to find a scheme that fits him, or he has to find a coach that can put him in, that it would make some type of sense for him to actually be in the system. Like I said, I'm worried about this guy. I'm truly worried about this guy. Like I said, he just, nothing about him screams linebacker. Nothing. But again, somebody could possibly move him to edge. I seen Marvin Lewis do it with LeVar Arrington. LeVar Arrington had all the intensity, but LeVar Arrington was fast and could come off the edge. So maybe that's one of these things where he can be a guy that can come off the edge. But like I said, looking at his film, he doesn't have the physicality or the energy for a linebacker. Last but not least, number one, and it's a 2 for number one because they both go to the same school, and the problem is that their system didn't really make them look as good as they could have. But at number one, I got Jalin Hyatt and Hendon Hooker. I'll start with Jalin Hyatt. Jalin Hyatt it seems like a straight line receiver. Like, he's just going to outrun people and get deep and beat people deep and things like that. But the thing about it is that seems like that's his only skill. Like, I don't see him running routes really well. Unlike the other guy next to him, Cedric Tillman runs better routes. But for some reason with Jalin Hyatt, he's just a straight edge guy. It seemed like the whole time that he's wide open on plays and everything like that. And it just seems like it's a straight line thing. Like, his job is just to run past people. And when you got a wide receiver like that, that's a guy that's dependent on the system. Like, that's a guy that's very dependent on the system. Now, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I hate the Tennessee offense because it doesn't really let you gauge the skill of their players, because it's such a crazy offense that it just doesn't make any sense. And like, you don't see their abilities, like when it comes to the NFL. Like, Jalin Hyatt, I mean, yes, you can see that he has that speed, but I will say this. There were a couple times where he got locked up by cornerbacks and he had nothing. He had absolutely nothing. He was shut down. So if there isn't an option for him to just fly and go past somebody and score, that's gonna be that's the extent of his game. He's gonna have to learn a route tree. He's gonna have to learn a lot of stuff, because and he could know a route tree, but in that offense it looked like he doesn't have any other route responsibilities. And like I said, there were a couple games where he got locked down, and he when he got into press man, the corner just shut him out. So that's Jalin Hyatt. The other side is Hendon Hooker. He can throw a deep ball. He does do a good job with the deep ball. The problem that I have is that I can't tell if he can read defenses. I can't tell if he can audible in and out of plays. I can't tell if he's just a big fact. Like you can't tell if his ability is solely dependent upon this offense. Like I said, I just hate this Tennessee offense. It doesn't show anything when it comes to these guys, and that bothers me so much because I couldn't even give Hendon Hooker a fair evaluation. But I mean, at this point right now, because that offense, it's also a thing where I think that he's scheme dependent. If there's a point where we find out that he's a better quarterback than what Tennessee was leading on to because he was just a victim of that offense, then fine. But from what I see, I don't see him not being scheme dependent. And like I said, he does do a good job of throwing the deep ball. He gets the ball out of there. He has a very quick release as well. But that offense didn't help him out. So those are my 7 guys. My 7 guys that are scheme dependent for them to be successful in the NFL. Y'all tell me what y'all think, because I want to know what some of y'all think. Do y'all feel that I'm off base with some of these guys, including Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker? Y'all tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man, John Fortune. I will be back tomorrow with my not mock draft. I'll also be back again because I think the Defenders play on Saturday as well. Other than that, this has been your man, John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.